I move to open the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Our first business item is an update on 99 Bay Avenue, and I see Attorney Sill here. Would you like to show us what you have now?
Yes, good evening. So in the last month, since we've undertaken to address this open order of conditions, we did a substantial amount of due diligence and to satisfy the requirements of the building department with an as-built and elevation certificate and the like. And as a part of that, we had the as-built done with a surveyor who determined and established that that building in the back that was the subject of the open order of conditions does not, in fact, encroach upon town land, which is a substantial change in the facts. We were relying on a mortgage inspection plan or a plot plan, which says right on it, that it would recommend a survey to see if there was an encroachment, which it showed a possible encroachment, which we've now done, and that building in the northwesterly corner does not encroach onto town land. So that was one thing we came across, and then we were able to obtain a certificate of occupancy from the building department today, which I submitted, and we put together an 8A application with all the requirements that were needed in terms of the elevation certificate, the as-built, the letter from the professional surveyor, meeting all of the special conditions within the order. So we're seeking to get a certificate of compliance on the open order. And originally, we had been talking about a mitigation plan because of a possible encroachment with a permissive use from the select board, and then a mitigation plan that would include the removal of a retaining wall. But we don't feel that is necessary because we've met the requirements of the special conditions in the orders. And moreover, I did some additional research as to that retaining wall, and I think I've established that because of the photographic evidence that exists on the building permit application from the year 2000, which was signed off on by conservation, you can see within it that that retaining wall was pre-existed prior to this project being undertaken in terms of the removal and construction of a new cottage there. And additionally, we found when the land was conveyed to the town, which was later that year, and I think it was, the deed date was December 29th of 2000, and it was recorded several months later. So basically, and it was from John Clancy, trustee of the Wider Roads Realty Trust. So essentially, the town was granted the property with the existing retaining wall on it, which pre-existed the project and wasn't referenced in any way by the building permit or the order of conditions. So we're moving to seek a issuance of a certificate of compliance on the orders. And we've already got the certificate of occupancy from building department. So many things changed, but, and it looked like in the beginning it was very different than it is now based on where we were at, but the more we did our due diligence, these facts came to light by just digging in and kind of doing what we needed to do to get to those facts.
Okay. Do you have any comments, Mike?
Yes, I do. The orders of condition were signed off in May, year 2000, as was the building permit, and then it appears that the deed transferring the adjacent land to the town of Marshfield was signed on December 29th, 2000. So the permits were issued about 5-6 months before the property transferred hands, and it does appear that in the permit photographs in the year 2000, there does appear to be a retaining wall back here.
So this is the former cottage that was...
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was raised and rebuilt under that year 2000 permit.
I know we all just got this today, and I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at it. Probably not.
And I do apologize for the late notice on that, but we just assembled all this information.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'm just you know, it's sort of puzzling. I understand that the mortgage plan is not a surveyed plan.
Right.
But both the mortgage plan and our town mapping show that building encroaching beyond the property line. Whereas
Right,
your new survey does not.
right. Which, you know, I think that's like the professional land surveyor survey is much more detailed and involved in terms of what goes into it, in terms of a tripod and doing your boundary markers and establishing those boundaries versus a mortgage inspection plan or a satellite photo.
Do we not have that one? Do we see that, sir? Or is it, is this the new one or the old one?
That's the new
That's
one.
new as of
Yes.
today. In addition to that, may I add something? The COC request was received today, so that would be on the next meeting agenda anyway. That would be
Right,
on
we
the
can't do that
12/6
tonight.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah. So that is a stamped plan, current, showing the building in the property.
And then the one that we saw before, you have a copy of it, actually, don't have a copy. Yeah, this
Well,
one here.
Yeah, this one was of a mortgage plan, and I know a mortgage plan is not a technical
Right.
survey, it's a schematic. But we also have, do you have the aerial of the town?
Database.
Yeah, you can pull up the
The
area.
assessor's database, yeah, also.
Yep.
Now, I don't know what the accuracy of the assessor's database is.
Yeah, our mapping tools, the GIS tools that we have, do have some margin of error associated with each one.
So we can't issue the COC tonight anyway.
No, we can't.
My feeling would be, Board of Selectmen has control of that abutting property. Again, we let them weigh in if they're satisfied with this. The only other thing is, I can't see where the resource areas are. Is the retaining wall?
This is the retaining wall, and then on the other side is salt marsh.
So is the retaining wall on the marsh, in the resource area, or is it?
It's definitely within the buffer zone, if not within the resource area.
But it predates both the current owner and the previous owner, apparently.
Yes, and it basically, it was gifted to the town via a deed. It was there as part of that deed transfer. It was
Right.
approximately 18 acres of land back there that John Clancy, through his realty trust, conveyed.
And am I correct in saying it was given to the Conservation Commission, but it is listed as controlled by the Select Board?
I believe that's correct. Let me check the property card right now.
Yeah, and the grantee clause on the deed said it was gifted and granted to the inhabitants of the town of Marshfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree with Bert, you know, we have a surveyed plan that removes, you know, the obstacles here.
Yeah.
But I do think because of the Select Board property, they need to know about this if they don't, and I think they do.
I believe they do.
Because I think you, no, I think you initially were contacting them thinking you had to get,
I was, and I had one conversation with Mike Maresco. However, then, once we got to this point, I didn't pursue that. I figured this was the proper venue. However, I did send a summary, which I provided 2 copies of to your board, or your
Okay.
commission, to Town Council Bob Galvin.
okay.
Yeah, so I believe, I don't know if he was going to reach out to the town administrator or the select board, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as Bert points out, we have to do the certificate of, at the next meeting
Yes.
to
yeah.
post it. In the interim, I think we'll close the loop with everybody.
Sure.
Select board,
Yeah.
town council.
Yeah.
And if everyone is satisfied, we'll be good to go.
Terrific, yeah. And again, I wish I had done a little more upfront versus, as it came upon us, but I was just trying to deal with what was in front of me.
These things are complicated.
They really are. Yeah. And when is the next meeting?
December 6th.
Okay, great.
So we will get that on the agenda,
Terrific.
and we'll do make sure everyone is on board,
Okay.
and hopefully you will be good to go.
That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate your time as always.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you.
for all of your digging.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of interesting times.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks again.
Okay.
Enjoy your holiday with the
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you,
Thank you.
Michael. All right.
Okay, our other business item is approving the Conservation Office meeting dates and deadlines for the next 6 months. And as always, we will be meeting on the first and the third Wednesday of every month. So I move to accept conservation meeting dates and deadlines from January 1st to June 30th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, we have an unusual hearing schedule tonight. First, I want to point out that RDA 2321, which is 0 Assumption Road, has already been voted on and withdrawn. That hearing had been continued to this date, November 15th, but because we received the withdrawal request on October 31st, that was voted on the November 1st meeting. So that is finished. Our first two hearings, RDA 2324 and 25, are going to be postponed to the December 6th meeting due to an incorrect explanation of necessary work as published in the legal notice. We will be republishing the legal notices, and they will be heard at the next hearing. So everything else is going to continue. Our only hearing for tonight is RDA 423064, 139 Pinehurst Road. And this is a continued hearing, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Karen.
I just want to clarify, that's an RDA, I mean an NOI.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure.
did I say, yeah, it's SE
Sure, I wasn't
423064,
Yes.
it's an NOI.
Yes, it is. All right, so I don't see Greg Morse here. Is he on Zoom? I know we mentioned that he may not have to be here for this.
Right, because it's, yeah,
As we all remember, 193 Pinehurst Road, there were issues that we had to follow up on, the natural heritage, and then other floodplain and variance, make sure they applied for the variance with ZBA. All of those things have been done. And the only reason that we held back on closing the hearing was they had mitigation plantings in that were not doing well, and Craig and I went out and revisited the plantings. They put in 16 more plantings, I think, approximately. And Craig and I went out on November 8th and spent a lot of time there, went over every single planting, and they're all planted and doing well as written in Brad Holmes' report. So the only thing that I would suggest at this point is we could close this, and then in the order of conditions, request 2 years of monitoring within 2 reports. And the question is, when would you like, if people agree, that's what I'm recommending, we can vote on that, and then time to be determined. And the only other thing that is missing that I recommended was that the conservation markers at the 50 be put on the site plan. And they can be found on the the planting plan from 2019, so they just need to put that on the site plan.
Okay.
That will get lost in the future, I think. So those are the only two things, the monitoring for 2 years and conservation markers. And they did replace all the old erosion control barriers, so those looked pretty good. So, Commissioner comments?
No?
I don't think so. I saw the letter and,
Yep, they added
and the,
they added a number of plants, so that now meets 75%. So as long as it's monitored going forward to ensure that,
Is 2 years acceptable, or is that too much? Or
I think 2 years, isn't that what, we usually do 2 years?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
and then would it be in the fall, just to continue this schedule, or
It would be
preferred in the spring? I mean, what do you,
either growing season is acceptable in our language that we would put in there. We would say either so the spring and 2 monitoring reports, yearly monitoring reports, or in the fall and then 2 yearly monitoring reports. We have specialized language.
whatever you
for that.
recommend?
Well, I'm thinking they just did some significant planting, perhaps a monitor in the spring.
Right.
In case
They can catch it
there
early.
is failure over the winter,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
can get right on it and,
Right. Yeah, okay.
And then also to note, the monitoring reports are required under SE 422792. That was the mitigation plan there that the plantings failed from. So that would have to be, that needs the 2-year monitoring, so each notice of intent with the monitoring would suffice, each separate permit.
Okay. So, is there anybody from the public here to, just doesn't appear to be, no one on Zoom that I can see, so given that, I'll make a motion that we, I'm sorry.
Did-
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm the owner of 190.
Oh, okay.
I did
Oh,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
plantings.
Did you want to?
Remember, we couldn't stay there, couldn't get it signed off. I had it looked at a couple times before, but
Oh, okay.
until the structure was up, but I never got a chance to sell it, so that's why they were set back there a little while.
Okay,
Thank you guys for looking again.
okay.
you're welcome.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you if you
No,
were
it's okay.
waving.
I just-
Yes. All right, so with that, I'll make a motion that we close the hearing and issue special conditions. May I have well, actually, would you like to read the special conditions or list them off?
Yep. So I would suggest the following special conditions. General conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction, conditions 5 and 2, during construction, condition 11, after construction, condition 1, erosion control, condition 1, and then the special condition requiring conservation markers as depicted on the 2019 site plan, and then 2 years of monitoring for that planting plan,
Right. To commence in the spring. Right.
spring reports.
May I have a second?
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're all
Thank
set.
you guys. Nice work.
You too, thank you. Okay, everything else is being continued, so we need to take those votes. Um, 172 South River Street, RDA 2312. I move that we continue that to December 6th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423056, 0 Main Street, has already been voted to continue, but we will do that again. I move that we continue to 12/6. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423015, 60 Foster Avenue. I move we continue to 12/6. A second, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 423051, 3 South Street. I move to continue to December 6th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All of those were at the request of the applicants. And then we have,
Excuse me, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
Did we deal with Recreational Trails Committee? Did you, or I missed it, I didn't hear you.
yeah, no,
Okay,
I
sorry.
did that one.
I was,
That was okay.
thank you, just wanted to make sure.
All right, we have 2 certificates of compliance. The first is SE 42 2923 at 162 Bay Avenue, and we are still waiting on a floodplain violation to be corrected. So I move that we continue this to December 6th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 42 2981, 12 Branch Street. So they have, they have a larger paver gravel area
Yes.
than was proposed.
Yes, this is what was proposed here. You can see the gravel drive here, surrounded by railroad ties, and then this was what was built. You can see the gravel area here, surrounded by railroad ties, is much larger, and then the original gravel driveway that was proposed appears to be constructed out of pervious pavers.
But everything is pervious?
Everything's pervious and held together with landscape railroad ties. And everything's within the Concom markers as well.
Okay. Anyone have any issues?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, as long as it's all pervious. So I move that we vote to issue a COC for SE 42 2981. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And astonishingly, that concludes our business for tonight. So I move to adjourn the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of November 15th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.